The film begins with a dark and heavy atmosphere. Two innocent sisters, Spider and her younger sister, stand crying in front of their mother's lifeless body. Their mother died the previous night from a drug overdose. Filled with grief and fear, the sisters quietly pick up her body and hide it inside an old trunk in a nearby shed. Their younger sister tearfully hugs her mother one last time and keeps a small lobster as her final memory of her. Spider, heartbroken and terrified, knows that if anyone discovers their mother's death, the authorities will separate them forever. Determined not to lose her little sister, Spider decides to pretend that their mother is still alive. The next morning, the sisters leave for school as if nothing happened. The younger sister wears their mother's locket, but Spider tells her to remove it and keep it at home. Even after reaching school, Spider reminds her not to tell anyone about their mother. Later, unable to carry the burden, Spider confides in her best friend, making her promise to keep it a secret. She explains that she cannot risk losing her sister under any circumstances. Her friend, saddened, agrees to help and support her. That evening, Spider is frightened when her younger sister returns home from school with a friend and their grandmother. Panicking, Spider scolds her and warns her never to bring anyone home again. She fears that people might find out the truth. But fear isn't their only problem. Their food supply is running out, and their mother's monthly income is still 6 days away. The sisters decide to eat less and somehow survive until the money arrives. Suddenly, their mother's friend, Ray, shows up at the door. Spider quickly lies, saying their mother left with another woman an hour ago. Ray suspects something is wrong, but simply tells Spider to call when her mother returns. After he leaves, the younger sister worries that Ray might come back. Angry and stressed, Spider yells at her, making her cry next to their mother's hidden body. Spider regrets it, hugs her, and explains that Ray is just a drug addict who will leave once he feels unwanted. When their money finally arrives, Spider takes her sister shopping to cheer her up. They buy plenty of food, eat happily, and enjoy a rare moment of relief. But a shop worker suddenly comes outside and takes pictures of them. Spider angrily confronts him and tries to delete the photos, but his camera is not digital. At home, Spider tells her sister that they receive $600 every month from the government, $200 for each of them, and $200 for their mother, because no one knows about her death. That night, they fall asleep talking about their mother and remembering better times. The next morning, their worries return when Child Services calls to say an officer will visit their home. The sisters panic. The younger sister fears they will be separated if the truth comes out. Together, they clean their mother's room and find her old teaching certificate, learning she was once a teacher before drugs ruined her life. Spider plans to tell the officer that their mother is at a job interview at a bank. But then her sister realizes their mother's car is still parked outside, which could raise suspicion. Desperate, Spider tries to move the car even though she can't drive. Somehow, she manages to start it and hides it away from the house. The next day, the officer arrives. The sisters calmly explain that their mother is out for a job interview. Spider pretends to be a responsible daughter while the officer checks every room, the refrigerator, and even their mother's bedroom. Finding nothing unusual, the officer leaves, but says she will return in a few days. The sisters breathe a sigh of relief, but know the danger is not over. The following day, Spider considers running away. She goes to a bus station to ask about ticket prices, but the receptionist warns her not to wander alone since she is only 15. Convinced, Spider leaves and stops at a store for essentials, where she runs into the same shop worker. He shows her the photo he took and explains that photography is his hobby. He invites her to join him sometime to take pictures, but Spider politely refuses and goes home. At home, her sister sits quietly with their mother's locket, lost in memories. She asks Spider why she seems so angry at her mother. Spider simply says their mother made bad choices in life. Later, her sister notices the photo the worker took and teases Spider, asking if he likes her. Spider explains that he invited her to go take pictures with him. Excited, her sister encourages her to accept. Spider finally agrees. The next day, the worker arrives on an old bike and takes Spider to a remote forest. Spider jokingly asks if he is a killer, and he smiles. He teaches her how to use the camera and take pictures. Afterwards, he brings her to his darkroom to print the pictures. There, Spider learns that one of his clients creates fake certificates because he used to work as a document maker. Before leaving, the worker gives Spider a small digital camera to keep for a few days and drops her off near her home. When Spider returns, her sister runs to her overjoyed. For a brief moment, the two feel a spark of happiness in their dark and lonely world, holding on to each other as they continue hiding the painful truth.
Gradually, the sisters begin to move past the heavy grief of losing their mother and try to find small moments of happiness together. They support each other, laugh at little things, and share small joys, but their peace doesn't last long. One day, while Spider is sitting alone in a cafe, Ray suddenly appears. He angrily demands to know where their mother is and complains that she hasn't spoken to him for a while. He threatens Spider, saying that if her mother doesn't want to see him, she should at least return the $300 she owes him by Friday. Both sisters are terrified because they barely have enough money to survive themselves. In desperation, Spider goes to a store the next day and sells the digital camera the worker had given her, but she only gets $50 for it. To make up the remaining amount, she pawns her mother's necklace and later that night goes to Ray's van to give him the money. She begs him to stop bothering them. Instead of leaving, Ray mocks her, insulting her mother and calling her a drug addict who was always drunk. He sneers that no sane mother would send her young daughter out alone. Hearing this, Spider breaks down and runs to the shed, crying in anger. She kicks the trunk where her mother's body lies hidden and shouts, "I hate you for even befriending someone like Ray." When she returns home, her frightened sister hugs her tightly and asks if Ray will leave them alone now. Spider softly tells her yes, but deep inside she knows that if Ray discovers the truth about their mother's death, the authorities will separate them. The next day, Spider starts searching online about adoption. She learns that an 18-year-old sibling can adopt a younger one, but she is only 15. That night, her sister asks about their mother's locket. Afraid of hurting her, Spider doesn't reveal that she pawned it. Just then, a voicemail arrives from the father of Spider's friend, who is also the town sheriff and a friend of their mother. He asks her mother to call him back, which alarms Spider even more. The following day, she meets the worker's client, a man who makes fake documents, and shows her the papers she needs. She asks for a driver's license and a birth certificate to make herself appear 18, but the man demands a huge fee that she cannot afford. Desperate, she begs him to help her, saying she urgently needs the documents. When she returns home, she shares her plan with her best friend. "I'll take my sister far away to a place where nobody knows us. With a fake ID, I can pretend to be 18 and adopt her, but I can't tell her anything right now." Her friend is shocked, but encourages her to be brave. The next day, Spider goes back to the store, buys back the worker's camera, returns it, and tells him she can't spend time with him anymore. But he convinces her to hang out with him one more time. They take more photos together, and slowly Spider begins to enjoy his company. Later, while Spider is at home with her sister, a child services officer suddenly shows up. Panic grips both of them, and they hide in the shed where their mother's body is kept hidden. The officer calls their mother's phone and leaves a warning message, saying that if she doesn't call back by evening, she will contact the sheriff. Terrified, Spider rushes to the document maker's house to get her fake IDs, but he isn't there and the papers aren't ready. Feeling helpless, she returns home. Her sister again asks about the locket, and this time Spider finally admits the truth. "I sold it.
she says. Heartbroken, her sister cries, "That locket meant everything to our mother, and you sold it?" Spider, angry and hurt, blurts out that their mother was a drug addict who made terrible choices. Her sister refuses to believe it, but Spider reminds her of all the times their mother mistreated them, including the day she left her crying outside on the porch when she was little. Spider also reveals that her sister's asthma was caused by her mother's drug use during pregnancy, which damaged her lungs before birth. Hearing this, her sister collapses in tears, refusing to accept it. Overwhelmed, she runs out of the house, gasping for breath, and suddenly collapses from an asthma attack. Panicked, Spider realizes she forgot to refill her sister's inhaler. She calls 911, but fears the ambulance will take too long. Thinking quickly, she carries her sister to the car and drives her to the hospital herself. The doctors immediately begin treatment, but they refuse to give her any information, saying they can only speak to an adult. Spider sits in fear, unable to call her mother. A moment later, the sheriff arrives and speaks with the doctor, who confirms that her sister is now stable. Spider breaks down, blaming herself for forgetting the inhaler. The sheriff gently tells her that she's just a child and that her mother is the one responsible for their situation. He asks where her mother is, but Spider remains silent and only pleads, "Please don't separate us." Soon after, her sister is discharged and the sheriff takes them home. When his wife learns their mother has been missing for weeks, she suggests the sisters stay with them until a proper family can adopt them. But the sheriff explains it won't be easy. 70 children are already waiting for families, and adding these two would make it nearly impossible to keep them together. The next morning, he drops them off at school. Spider is desperate to escape, and her friend secretly gives her some money to help. Spider finally gets the fake IDs from the document maker and rushes home. Her sister, surprised, watches her pack quickly. "Where are we going?" she asks. Spider tells her they have to run away. Her sister refuses, not wanting to leave her friends or the memory of their mother behind. Spider insists that if they don't escape, they'll be separated. In frustration, she even slaps her. Suddenly, Ray barges into the house and grabs Spider, pinning her against the wall. He sneers, "Your mother is dead, isn't she? And you've been keeping her $200 every month. If you want me to stay quiet, you'll have to pay me that money regularly." His intentions grow more threatening, but before anything worse happens, the sisters fight back. Together, they attack him, and Spider knocks him unconscious with a baseball bat. Shaken, her sister tells Spider through tears, "I don't want to go anywhere." Spider finally understands her feelings. They sit together, sing an old song about their mother, and decide to tell the police everything. A short time later, their mother's body is taken away. The sheriff sits with them, and Spider softly asks, "Was what I did wrong?" He gently replies, "Everything you did was to protect your sister," and promises that he will never separate them. Their mother's funeral is held, and the sisters place flowers on her coffin with heavy hearts. The sheriff's family lovingly accepts them, ensuring they will always stay together. Not long after, the worker visits Spider. She remembers her mother and buys back the locket she once sold. Inside it, she finds childhood photos of both sisters. With tears in her eyes, Spider wears the locket around her neck and silently vows to always protect her younger sister and never leave her side. And with that, their heartbreaking yet hopeful story comes to an end.